Most of us are very skilled in accessing our masculine energy and leading from our masculine energy and using our masculine energy to move us forward in the world. But we are not so skilled in accessing and living from our feminine energy. And I'm assuming that if you are watching this video, you have a desire to connect more with your divine feminine energy. I know certainly for me that's the case, that even though I've been walking the path of the feminine for a few years now, I continue to want to drop deeper and experience more. So this episode is going to be especially helpful for those of you who are starting out on the path of the feminine, and also if you've been working with your feminine energy for a while now but you yearn to drop deeper. I feel that today's episode is going to be helpful to you too. So what I want to share with you today are the two pillars, the pillar of self-intimacy and the pillar of liberation, which in my experience are fundamental and will really support you to live more in alignment with your feminine nature. Our feminine energy is that flowing, feeling, intuitive and cyclical part of us, and this is in direct contrast to our masculine energy, which is more linear, more focused, more action-oriented, and more direct. And the world that we live in values go. It values growth. It values forward-moving action. And so, by virtue of living in this world and being in the SU part and the way that the schooling systems work and the way that society works and the way that our culture has developed, or all our different cultures have developed, we all have become very skilled in this forward-moving, rational, logical way of being. For many of us, our gifts of radiance and magnetism and experiencing everyday pleasure has been neglected. So my definition of self-intimacy is the ability of connecting to your own deepest truth. Our feminine energy is a descending kind of energy. And often what happens as we just go about our normal everyday lives, our energy tends to go upwards. It tends to go up into our minds and it tends to go out into the world as we're moving forward, as we're pushing forward. And in the process, what happens is we disconnect from our body and we don't have any of our energy that descends down into our body, into our hips and into our root. So to create that connection with your divine feminine energy, one of the most useful and important things that you can do is to learn to bring your energy down back into your body and to connect into your body. Now, if you're like me, when these undesirable thoughts and feelings that sometimes arise in the body, what many of us do is when these things arise, we take it into the mind and we think about what it is that we are feeling or that we are experiencing. By purposefully cultivating the skill of dropping into your body and being with whatever it is that you're feeling, not being in the story of what it is that you're feeling, but being in the feeling of that and really becoming curious about that inner felt sense, this inner world that we have inside of us. This allows that energy to move through us. This allows us to go deeper so that we can land on our own truth. Our own truth is our intuitive wisdom. It's that creative life force energy of the divine feminine. Cultivating that connection with your body and developing that self-intimacy where you really meet yourself where you're at. This is what empowers you to become more sovereign and to move through the world from your own self-centered agency instead of moving through the world in people-pleasing mode or in searching for external validation mode or in perfectionism mode. What connecting to your body will also give you is it expands the range of pleasure that you feel. When we always take our information of our feelings and what we are experiencing, when we take that into the mind, this is another way of numbing what we're feeling. So you're numbing the experience in your nervous system, you're numbing the experience in your body. Only this part of your being is activated, but in the process, you don't only stop feeling the pain and the discomfort and the undesirable feelings and sensations and knowings in your body, but you also numb yourself to the more pleasurable side of life and of your experiences. So this typically starts looking like you don't experience joy anymore, or the things that used to give you pleasure before doesn't give you pleasure anymore. And you really start feeling a little bit blah about life. So cultivating that self-intimacy will also then expand your capacity to experience more pleasure and just find joy in those small little things in life again. And then the second pillar that needs to be in place is liberation. So it's easy to assume that working with your feminine nature means all love and lightness and presenting yourself in a certain way and sitting back and receiving, because that's a lot of information that's available out there. But what we don't talk about so much when it comes to connecting with the divine feminine nature is the liberation. The divine feminine asks of us to clear out all of this crap and all of this conditioned layering that is keeping our life force energy down, to mother ourselves, to reparent our inner child, our inner girl, and to really provide that place of safety for her. So this is how I want to explain the process of liberation. If you imagine as you're going through the world, all of the experiences that you feel shame for, all of the feelings and the sensations, whether it's regards to the way that you look or your sexuality or the way that you eat, how you grew up, what your parents told you, all of these things create shame and stories and guilt in us. And we buy into this, it becomes part of our limiting beliefs and the way that we see ourselves. And you can imagine that all of this forms layers of gunk in our cells, in our nervous system. And we keep on referring to these layers, these conditionings, these beliefs that we have as we move through the world. When we try and change the way that we speak up, or the way that we show up at work or in our intimate relationships, in the boundaries that we hold, in the way that we are being or who we are becoming, when we try to change that on the level of the mind, it doesn't address the gunk and the conditioning and the layers and the weight that lies and keeps our life force contained. When we start working with our feminine nature, she asks of us to liberate ourselves from that gunk, to liberate ourselves from all of these untruths that is not who we really are. Through embodiment and through working with your inner child, through working with these limiting beliefs and patterns that is stuck in the nervous system, you can begin to create that liberation through diving into the shadows that really asks to be brought to light. When we don't access and get in touch with our divine feminine nature as women, we become dry, we become brittle, we feel unsatisfied with life, and we feel unfulfilled. We feel like something is missing. This longing and this yearning for something that we can't explain or that we can't put words to. To me, that's really the calling of our divine feminine nature that asks of us to wake up and to begin to honor and express that part of ourselves as well, so that we can feel whole and that we can live in harmony with our own internal energies. So I have so many videos and resources on my channel that gets into the details of how to do this, how to connect with your divine feminine nature through the self-intimacy and through creating liberation. I'm going to link 2 specific videos for you down in the description for you to take a look at. I really hope that this video has given you some insight and idea on how you can begin to walk the path of aligning with your feminine nature. And I'd love to hear how this video landed for you. Leave me a comment below. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.